Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. 3 chicken strips, signature buffalo sauce, and buttermilk ranch. Available for a limited time.
And it's time for another edition of Friday Night Stars, brought to you by Whataburger as we lead you into Thanksgiving week next week. This is the second round, the area round of the playoffs all across the state of Texas. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. And Kyle, you know, the goal of every team in Texas is to be able to practice on Thanksgiving morning. And to do that, you got to win this week in the area round of the playoffs.
This is a huge week. And we talked about last week kind of sifting through the contenders and the pretenders of the playoff scenarios. There's nothing about this that is pretending anymore. These teams, if you make it to the area round, are having a great year. But you could have an elite year if you end up winning in the area round and continue your season into Thanksgiving. Cannot wait to see a lot of these matchups play out.
And of course, you want to practice on Thanksgiving morning. You want to continue to be playing the week of Christmas, which is when the state championship games are held at AT&T Stadium every year. All right, let's get things started with the number one team on a lot of people's radar all season long. That would be the Duncanville Panthers. And Duncanville unbeaten again this year. The reigning Class 6A Division I state champions, and they're taking on the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. It's a Friday night game at the beautiful Allen Eagles Stadium.
Oh, I cannot wait to see this because, of course, we talked about speed of both of these teams. Duncanville has the high-flying ability, but Rockwall showed off some speed last week in their win against Saxe. That was a good Saxe Mustangs ball club that they took down. Duncanville, though, is still the class of this area, of Dallas-Fort Worth, and they continue to put up the big-time numbers. They're trying to go for that three-peat state championship with Reginald Samples at the helm. They took down Temple last week in impressive manner, putting up 50-plus points on the board out of the Wildcats, out of the Super Syntex area, and it's all predicated on Keelan Russell, who has continued his great season, now up over 3,000 passing yards on the campaign, 44 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. But I talked about Rockwall and what the Yellow Jackets did last week against Saxe. Put up 373 total yards. It was a balanced attack, 200 yards through the air, 160 yards on the ground, and they really did it through both their star running back and A.J. Hatcher. He put up 112 yards and a touchdown, but also their quarterback, Brent Rickard, who's had an on and off season, 19 of 28 passing, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's got to be better at taking care of the football through 2 picks in that matchup against Saxe. If he can take care of the football and they keep that balanced attack rolling, that's the only way they're going to keep pace with the speed and the talent of the Duncanville Panthers.
And it's a Rockwall team with a 6-5 record. You wouldn't give them much of a chance against an unbeaten Duncanville team, but they're riding as much momentum as they could possibly have coming off a game where they knocked off a district champion team in Saxe last week.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Saxe has one of the top receivers in the area. They negated him completely all the way through that game. It was, excuse me for looking at the stats here. Khalil Lockett was the receiver. He's a 5-star possible next-level NFL caliber wide receiver. They held him to 2 receptions and 35 yards. So the defense has already faced some of the top talent in the area. They're going to see it again against the Panthers.
That's what I like about Kyle Youmans. He's always prepared. If it's not up here, it's right there
definitely
on that
right
laptop. All right, let's move on to game number 2. They're all games of the week. Let's talk about the Coppell Cowboys and the Lake Highlands Wildcats. How about Coppell last week? They are unbeaten on the season, but they got a scare last week against Prosper, and they scored 28 points in the third quarter to put Prosper away.
Yeah, when you looked up at halftime and you saw the Coppell Cowboys down 21-7 against Prosper, who we've talked about Prosper before. They were a top 20 team in the state going into last week as well. That was the only ranked matchup in the DFW bi-district round. So when you looked up and saw that score, you're like, oh man, could the fairy tale be coming to an end? Is the carriage turning into a pumpkin at midnight for the Coppell Cowboys? Not so fast. Edward Griffin found his receivers again. They found Tucker Casano, 4 receptions, 137 yards and a touchdown. Mbake at the running back position, 14 carries. He went for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns in that win as well. Really liked the way that the Cowboys responded. They got back to what they do best, which is hit their receivers in stride, and they were able to catch up with those 28 points in the third quarter. Now, they're taking on a Lake Highlands team that predicates themselves on defense. They've been phenomenal on the defensive side of the ball throughout the year. They held South Grand Prairie last week to 163 total yards. They blanked them on the scoreboard. And if you go back through some of their top matchups throughout the year, they put 8 points on the board up against Richardson. They held Irving Nimitz to 7 points. They took down Jesuit 38-10. Irving MacArthur, sorry, I know that's your alma mater, 31-0 earlier this season.
Not the same as the glory days of Irving MacArthur.
Certainly not. But Lake Highlands has the defense to keep pace with that passing attack of Coppell. They've just got to show it again this week.
Well, and oh, by the way, next week, the winner of this game, in all likelihood, they're getting North Crowley. And that is the dream team that Kyle Youmans has been talking about all season long. All right, let's keep in Class 6A, Division I. In Region 1, and it's the Allen Eagles and the Richardson Eagles. They're playing on Friday night at the beautiful stadium in McKinney, and Lee Wigginton has his Allen Eagles going well at 11-0 on the season.
I was having a conversation with somebody in the press box at AT&T Stadium the other day, and they were asking me about high school football, and they were saying, isn't it kind of back to normal for the Allen Eagles? And I said, back to normal? This has always been the normal. They just had a little bit of a break. They've put together a balanced attack, great defense. You take a look at the numbers there. They held Louisville to just the 3 points the other day. They haven't allowed more than 2 touchdowns in a game just once in their last 4 matchups, and that includes games against Louisville, Prosper, the team we just talked about that took down or scared Coppell in that bi-district round, McKinney, Boyd, and Plano East. So the Allen Eagles are back to being state championship contenders. It's just how far into this they can go. They've got Richardson this week that enters at 7-4. The Richardson side of things, we just talked about how they were blanked earlier in the year by Lake Highlands. I don't know if they have the firepower to keep pace with the Allen Eagles, but it is going to be a fun matchup. And it's always good seeing the Allen brand back in the fold as a title contender.
And as far as Richardson is concerned, what a season they've had this year, considering the fact that they were under 500 last year with a 4-6 record. Kendrick Holloway doing a great job with them, coming off a win over Haltom 28-19. And again, the winner of this game, Allen versus Richardson, will play the winner of the Euless Trinity Midland Legacy game. And oh, by the way, a couple of weeks down the road, they could be facing North Crowley or Coppell. We'll see.
That's how loaded the 6A bracket is in DFW. You do not get a week off.
All right, let's go to Class 5A, Division 1, Region 2, and you talk about turnaround seasons. The Wranglers of West Mesquite High School under head coach Steven Jackson go from 3-7 last year. They're still unbeaten, 11-0, and they're playing the Midlothian Panthers Friday night, 7 o'clock at Wildcat Ram Stadium.
Man, I love talking about this West Mesquite Wranglers team. I had my doubts throughout the year because they don't have that high-flying attack that you normally see from teams that are going to go 2, 3, 4 rounds deep in the playoffs. But they do have a two-headed monster at running back. Kamari Carter, Demarion Robinson, both guys up over 700 yards, and both have double-digit touchdowns. Carter has 11 touchdowns on the year. Robinson has 14 touchdowns on the year. They rely on those two to set the tone and to win time of possession. They did that last week, 28-14 over McKinney North, a good team out of a good district, and we were expecting them to put up a fight.
That might have been your upset special.
That was exactly what my upset special would have been. That's what I said, though. I've had my doubts on West Mesquite, but they've continued to prove me wrong. This is going to be a game of who runs the football better, though, because Midlothian in the past has always been a team that runs the ball. They've always predicated off of the ground game. But as you can see there, they are the top rushing attack in the country, or in the state rather, because of what they do with their quarterback position. Bo Wendell has 1,000 yards passing, but he also has nearly 1,000 yards rushing as well. It's that dual threat ability at the quarterback position that they utilize in the read option, they utilize in an RPO. They don't throw the football a ton. He only had 110 attempts all season long. Expect this to be a battle in the trenches. Whichever offensive line plays better is going to be moving on from the area around.
Last week in a 35-30 win over Lake Belton, Bo Wendell had 2 completions in 7 attempts for 119 yards and a touchdown. Both of the completions went to Brendan Jackson. Two receptions, 119 and a touchdown.
There's a team in the top 20 right now, the college football playoff. They're called the Army Black Knights. They have a quarterback named Bryson Daly who doesn't throw the ball a lot, but when he does, it's a big play. That's what Midlothian does as well.
And Notre Dame, look out for them.
They're going to play this week.
That's right. All right, the showdowns at the Star when Friday Night Stars continues in a moment.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. Yes, it's true. All new iced coffee has officially arrived at Whataburger. Stop by and enjoy one today.
Time for these showdowns at the Star starting tonight. A Class 4A battle. The Panther Creek and Alvarado game should be a good one. More on that in just a second, because on Friday night we also want to show you that the Lone Star Rangers are taking on the Red Oak Hawks. Both those games tonight and tomorrow night at Ford Center here at the beautiful Star in Frisco. And Kyle Youmans, how about this Panther Creek Alvarado matchup?
Yeah, one-loss Panther Creek team going up against an undefeated Alvarado ball club. Champions out of District 8, 4A Division 1. Panther Creek is confident. They like their draw. If they won last week, taking down Dallas Pinkston 49-14. They face Alvarado this week, who put up 76 points last week, by the way. So high-flying affair tonight at Ford Center. But if they win that game, they will face the winner of Springtown and Sulphur Springs. They defeated Sulphur Springs 3 weeks ago, 41-14. And then it sets up a district rematch possibly against Salina, a team that beat them 42-7. Toughest team that Coach Clint Surratt said he's ever faced at any level of high school football. That would be the regional final. Salina, Panther Creek could be seeing a rematch there between two of the top 10 teams in the state.
So look forward to that, and we look forward to tomorrow night when Lone Star faces Red Oak. Let's hear from Lone Star head coach Jeff Rayburn on the pipeline to the pros, including Ashton Genty out of Boise State.
Yeah, number one, just super proud of who Ashton Genty is as a person, and all the work behind the scenes that he's done to get to this point. We knew he had the talent, we knew he had the ability, and now he's flourishing on that next level. So just super proud and excited for him to potentially be a Heisman candidate and a Heisman winner. We've had a lot of great players come through here. Marvin Mims set every record in Texas high school football at receiver. Nick Bolton's a 2-time Super Bowl champion and Pro Bowl football player. Trey Taylor at Air Force last year, playing for the Raiders right now, won the Thorpe Award. We've got Jalen Ford that played at Texas last year, who's playing for New Orleans Saints. We've got a guy scattered all throughout college football, so we're very fortunate to have great players that have come through here, but more importantly, they're great kids who continue to give back to our community here.
It certainly is a pipeline to the pros. And talking about Ashton Genty, what a season he is having at Boise State right now. He's got 1,893 yards rushing and 26 touchdowns.
And how many yards per carry is that?
And that would be 7.4 yards per carry.
7.4? 7.5 yards per touch? I mean, that's unbelievable. I think I know where this is headed because it's a quarterback award or a Power 5 award. But with Ashton Genty and what he's done at Boise State, he needs to be in the consideration, not only because he came from Frisco either.
He will be at that Heisman ceremony.
Got it.
We can guarantee that. All right, we continue with more previews of area round action, high school football playoffs, when the Friday Night Stars continues in just a moment.
This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back. 3 chicken strips, signature buffalo sauce, and buttermilk ranch. Available for a limited time.
Friday Night Stars continues here inside the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans as we run down some of the key matchups in this, the second round of the Texas High School football playoffs. Let's go back to Class 6A now, Kyle, in Division 2. And there's a Cowboys connection here with the Hebron Hawks, who are taking on the Arlington Bowie Volunteers in Grapevine on a Friday night, because Hebron is quarterbacked by a guy by the name of Patrick Creighton Jr.
And he's had a great year. It just completed 18 of 23 passes for 298 yards, 4 touchdowns in the win over Rock Hill. Oh, and by the way, he had 2 more rushing touchdowns. 6 total scores for Patrick Creighton Jr. Of course, the Cowboys connection being one thing as a wide receiver for Patrick Creighton. He is a quarterback and an athlete at the same time. I'm really excited to see how he fares in the 6A Division II bracket moving forward.
And, of course, Patrick Creighton Sr., who was out of DeSoto High School, went to Northwestern Oklahoma State. He played a little quarterback in college, too, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree as far as Patrick Creighton Jr. is, but he's a phenomenal prospect. Taking on an Arlington Bowie team coached by Joseph Sam, coming off a 56-42 win over Dallas Jesuit last week.
Yeah, that was a high-scoring affair, wasn't it? And Jesuit was down early in that ball game, fought their way back. Bowie righted the ship, though, as things kind of dwindled in that game. Bowie is sneaky good. They lost 3 straight games to start the season, 0-3, had themselves in a bit of a hole, but mostly in non-district play, including a 2-point loss to Flower Mound. They lost by a touchdown to Keller, but then they gave up 72 points against Coppell. How did they respond in that way? Well, they've rattled off 8 straight wins, went 7-0 in district play in order to work themselves into the 6A Division II playoffs. Don't count out the Bowie Volunteers against Hebron, and then the winner of this game is going to take on either Friendship High School or South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll and Hebron playing back in week 2, and it was the Dragons on top in that one, 59-16. So tough sledding ahead in an uphill battle outside of the area round, but you got to get through the area round first.
And South Lake Carroll in their by-district game last week against Mansfield Legacy won 69-7. Top half of this Division II bracket includes Crowley playing Midland this week and Denton Geyer against J.J. Pierce. And so it's going to be interesting to see who emerges there in Class 6A Division II. Who's going to emerge in Class 6A Division I? We go back to that when Friday Night Stars continues in just a moment.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. Yes, it's true. All new iced coffee has officially arrived at Whataburger. Stop by and enjoy one today.
It's our final segment of Friday Night Stars here inside the Globe Live studios at the Star in Frisco. Getting you ready for a big high school football playoff weekend. Starting tonight, we got Panther Creek and Alvarado just down the Nike Star Walk, and Kyle can't wait to get in there and watch that one. But let's get to another Class 6A Division I matchup. The North Forney Falcons and the Waxahachie Indians are going to play Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock at Allen Eagles Stadium, which is going to be a busy place. Duncanville's playing there Friday night, and you got North Forney and Waxahachie Saturday afternoon.
I'm upset with Waxahachie. They took down my alma mater, Waco Midway, last week, but that's okay. The Indians are really good. They're legit, and I really do like their quarterback, Jerry Meyer III. Completed 51% of his passes, had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Then they bring in Nolan Bernard, 3 of 3 passing, 117 yards on just the 3 completions, and then 2 touchdowns. So they've got some depth at the quarterback position. They've got firepower on the outside. It's all about Micah Cook. He had 1 reception and went all the way to the house, 88 yards against the Midway Panthers last week. Excited to see how they're able to kind of combat this North Forney passing attack. They've always been known for throwing the football around. They're going to do so again in this one.
And North Forney, coached by Marcus Shavers, who came over from McKinney, having a terrific year, led by Legend Bay at quarterback, already making a legend out of himself. He had 12 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was 8 of 11 for 198 yards and 4 touchdowns last week in a 62-21 win over Wiley. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. You've talked about North Crowley all season.
Yep.
I need state champions from you. We got a minute left in the show.
Okay.
Let's run it down.
Rattle it off.
Class 6A Division I. Are you sticking with North Crowley?
I am sticking with North Crowley and the Panthers. I think the Panthers get it done overall. 6A Division II. I'm going to go with DeSoto here. I thought about South Lake Carroll because of their route to get there. I just think DeSoto's the better team.
Probably would meet in the if they meet, they'll be in the
semifinals. It'll be
just
really,
like last year.
That'll be a fun one. 5A Division I. I'm going to go with Aledo. Titletown gets themselves another one. I also think South Oak Cliff repeats at 5A Division II. Salina, we talked about them. The Bobcats, it's Salina time. They win it. 4A Division I. I'll go Carthage 4A Division II. Malakoff 3A Division I. Gunter 3A Division II. Stanford Goddard in 2A Division I, 2A Division II, Albany. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. Munster is going to win in 2A Division II, Gordon in 1A Division I, and then 1A Division II, Richland Springs going to win it.
I think those are the same teams that won last year.
Might be.
That does it for Friday Night Stars.